everyone, welcome. My name is Alicia Cooper and I'll be talking about the English Canal System. Before we get started, let's talk about what are canals. What exactly is a canal? So a canal is a man-made waterways. They connect cities like we have over here, towns, factories, lakes, rivers, and all other water bodies that you can think of. Before I go deeper into canals, I would like to talk about channel because they are important. So, channel and canal both relate to waterways, and the terms are actually used interchangeably. Channels are used to transport water to drier areas and also for irrigation purposes. So, irrigation simply means the supply of water to land or crops to help growth. Picture on the left is of irrigation happening, and then this is just a picture of a channel right here. So now we're going to talk about the English Channel. So if you look on the picture to the left right here, the channel separates the south coast of England from the north coast of France. The channel also links the North Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. And according to Britannica, it is the smallest of shallow seas covering the continental shelf of Europe. Over to my right, there is actually this picture that was taken by Tim Stanley, and it is of a boat just crossing the English Channel. So this is exactly what the English Channel looks like in real life. So yeah. Now we're going to get into the differences between a channel and a canal. And the number one difference between the two is that one is man-made and one is a natural stream linking two water bodies. So a canal is man-made while a channel is a natural stream that connects two water bodies like seas. Previously we mentioned the English Channel, and the English Channel connects the North Sea to the Atlantic Ocean, so that would be an example of a natural stream. So canals are used for drainage, management, and transportation. So and then a channel is used for irrigation purposes, as I mentioned before as well. So those are like the main differences between a channel and a canal. The beginning of canals were first designed to be a source of transportation, and later on we will look into more of that. So building canals. The canals were built by using clay or limestone, mostly anything they could find, but it would be clay or limestone. Limestone would be used to build the sides of the canal, while clay would be used to keep the water in place. So clay would be on the bottom and limestones on the sides, or clay alone could be used in a technique called puddling, and puddling is just mixing clay with water, and that just keeps the water in the canal, so no leakage or anything. So that's how canals were built back in the day for the most part. As far as canal locks go, the stone or brick along with wood was used to build the locks. The locks were used to alter the level of water in canal when going up or down a hill. So in order to go uphill, we first drain the water out of the lock so that the gates could be opened for the boat to enter the lock. And then once the boat is in the lock, we would close the gate so the water could enter back into the lock and everything would be on one level, so the boat could go about its day. This picture does not exactly depict that, it depicts the opposite. So basically, right here the water is, okay, let's just start from right here, the water is low. To go uphill, we would drain the water down, get the boat into the lock, then close the lock, and then the boat would be like somewhere right here, and then open the lock and everything would go. Hopefully that makes sense. This picture is the opposite of what I described just now, but over here to my right there is a picture of a real life canal lock. Can't see much of it, but this is a picture of the canal locks that would be in action. Roman canals. So Roman canals are built to be multi-purpose structures, and some examples of usage included irrigation, transportation, drainage, etc. We're going to look at three types of Roman canals. So we're going to look at the car dike, the fosse dike, and the Bourne mortal canal. First up, we got the car dike. So the car dike is a 85-mile artificial water channel, runs along the edge from River Witham as Washington to the River Cam at Waterbeach. So first, William Stukeley, an English antiquarian, came up with the idea that car dike was a canal, and the purpose was to supply the Roman army of the north with grain and food from Lincolnshire and Cambridgeshire. Parts of the car dike was actually filled in during the 1960s between the parish boundary and Newark. And fun fact, many excavations of the car dike resulted in archaeologists finding pottery, coal, and Roman era boats. So we definitely know that the car dike is a Roman canal. Next up, we got the fosse dike. So the fosse dike is actually the oldest canal in England that is still being used today. It was built to connect River Witham to River Trent, and the canal was basically unusable until like 1744. It became reliable and well maintained. So they cleaned it up and was like, okay, we're gonna use this, so let's clean it up. So fun fact, the canal was used by the Normans to carry stone to build the Lincoln Cathedral in the 11th century. But right now the canal is mostly used for leisure purposes, and it is so cool that a canal from 2,000 years ago is like literally still in use. Like the canal totals 18.3 kilometers, that is about 11.3 miles with a single lock. Like that is like crazy to me. This is pictures of the Lincoln Cathedral. This is like a beautiful building, so I just wanted to show you guys. Next up, we got the Bourne Morton Canal. So this canal runs northeast from Bourne into Morton. It is mostly visible from aerial views. On the ground, there's like a lot of places that are clogged up or backed up, so you can't really see it from the ground, but from aerial views you can see parts of this canal still. We're going to talk about the Exeter Ship Canal. So this canal was built in the 1560s, and it is navigable for 5 miles and has 2 locks. So it runs from the Exe to Exeter Quay, from the River Exe to Exeter Quay, and was constructed before the Canal Mania period began. It is the first canal to be built after the Roman times, so that's pretty neat. In terms of navigation, canals connected cities by water, which made it easier to transport goods during the Industrial Revolution, which we're going to get into and see how canals was a part of the Industrial Revolution and all of that. So the Industrial Revolution, this was like a big time in Great Britain. So the Industrial Revolution produced large amount of goods and raw materials, and these goods and raw materials needed to be transported to near or far places, and they needed a better way to do so. Now remember, back in those days the roads weren't good. The horse carriage buggy thingies weren't gonna cut it. So as you can see in the picture that I have right here in the middle, the horses and the buggies, those were too slow, so that's not gonna work out for them. So most of the goods were actually heavy objects that couldn't even travel on the roads regardless. So the canals made it easier for them to travel by ships and boats. Um, Along with that, many industries could relocate to different towns and cities and would still be able to get their goods transported. So pottery also was a big thing that was being transported back in those days, and pottery couldn't be transported on the roads because it would break. The roads were really bad, so it would be better to transport it in boats along the canals. It would be safer. So during the Industrial Revolution, the main and sole purpose of the canals were mainly for ships and boats to travel and transport goods. Because of the canals, Britain became the first industrial power in the world, which is super duper cool. Canals played a vital role in Britain's economy. They helped to mold the nation, so that's also very good. Alright, now we're going to talk about the Sankey Canal. Okay, sorry about that. Um, we're going to talk about the Sankey Canal. So, built in the 1750s, it was actually built to bring coal down to the chemical industries of Liverpool. The Sankey Canal was used to transport raw sugar from Liverpool to Sankey Sugar Works in Earlstown as well. The canal became popularly known as the St. Helens Canal after about 1845 when the St. Helens Railroad Company took over. So, after the success of the Bridgewater Canal, plans for extension of the Sankey Canal became available. Like people, they wanted to extend it so more money could be made from it. So some extensions included the Fiddler's Ferry from Sankey Bridge in 1962, 1832 extension from Fiddler's Ferry to New Locks at Widnes. The canal was fully closed in 1963, sadly, but it served its purpose. So now we're going to talk about the Bridgewater Canal. The first true canal of England, it initially connected Worsley to Manchester and was named after the third Duke of Bridgewater, Francis Egerton. So in 1759, the Duke wanted to build a canal that would connect his coal mines at Worsley to Manchester, which was a big industrial city at the time. The Duke, along with his estate manager John Gilbert, which we have a picture of him right here, and the Duke, and engineer James Brindley brought the vision to life, and in 1776 the canal officially opened. Originally, they had planned to link the canal to River Arwell, but instead it passed by it to avoid paying tolls to the Arwell navigation, which, I mean, it makes sense. No one wants to pay a lot of money in tolls and taxes and all of that. So the canal actually took coal directly from Worsley, which is right here, to Manchester, which is right here, the big industrial city. The Duke became super rich. As coal prices were rising, he was in great demand, and that led him to build longer navigations all around the country. The Duke was actually very popular for his coal, and he was very reliable. And because of all the money he was making, he was able to like cut back coal prices half by half. So we're going to talk about the Barton Aqueduct. So this was opened on July 17, 1761. The aqueduct was used to carry the Bridgewater Canal over the River Irwell. As you can see, the aqueduct, the aqueduct is right here in the picture, and River Irel is underneath. So this was the first navigable aqueduct built in England, and according to Google, aqueduct is an artificial channel conveying water, typically in the form of a bridge across a valley. So the water is like on top of here. It's a bridge across the valley. The valley would be River Irel in this case. The Barton Adequate. Why do I keep saying adequate? The Barton Aqueduct, according to Mike Neville, was one of the seven wonders of the Canal Age. It measures 180 meters long, 11 meters wide, and 12 meters above the river. At first, it was a disaster, but they fixed it and it was used for over 100 years. It was demolished in 1893. Over 100 years, like that is so long and so crazy to me. So now we're going to talk about the famous James Brindley. So James was an early canal engineer who worked on building the Bridgewater Canal. This was a huge success and starting point for something big. Like he started the revolution of modern canal building. He went on to build many canals like the Coventry Canal and the Oxford Canal. So now we're going to talk about Canal Mania. So Canal Mania is the period between 1790 and 1810 where canals were being built frequently, like every second of the day there was a canal being built. Okay, that's dramatic, but you get the point. They were being built a lot. So a lot of people thought that they could gain wealth based on canal alone, and this led them to invest in every canal project that was going on. At first, people invested in narrow canals because they were cheaper to build, but it was hard to cope with traffic because they were so small. Ships and boats and all of that would have problems channeling through the canals, so it became an issue with the narrow canals. And that played a part in the decline of canal usage in Britain as well. So now we're going to talk about the Pont Sicilite Aqueduct. So this carries the Llangollen Canal across the River Dee. It is the highest canal aqueduct in the world at 126 feet tall. That is crazy. I don't know if I would be able to be comfortable being up here. Like these people are really 126 feet up in the air. Not me. It is 12 feet wide, as you can see right here. This aqueduct has 18 arches. So we see a couple of the arches in this picture right here and more of the arches in the sunset picture, which is really beautiful, by the way. And a length of 307 meters, which also makes it the longest in Great Britain. So it is super long. The aqueduct took 10 years to complete and was designed by Telford and Jessup. Nowadays, a lot of tourists flock the aqueduct because it is the perfect place to walk, cycle, canoe, or go on boat tours. And in this picture, we can see that tourists are on a boat tour. I can just imagine the views up here from the aqueduct, but I don't think I would be able to be comfortable that high up in the air. Not me. Let's move on. So now we're going to talk about the Standedge Tunnel. Now this one is very, very creepy. Like just looking at the pictures, it is creepy. I don't know if people traveled through here, but I definitely would not. So this tunnel was completed in 1811. The tunnel links Diggle and Marsden. It is the longest, deepest, and highest canal tunnel in Britain. From the pictures, again, it looks pretty scary, to be honest. It is 3 miles long, 638 feet underground, and a massive 645 feet above sea level. The canal was closed in 1944 but reopened in 2001 after being fully restored. And fun fact, the last cargo boat that was recorded passing through the tunnel was in 1912. It needed 74 locks over it 23 miles. So that's a lot of locks, to be honest. Like, you can know that this canal tunnel was pretty crazy to build. Like, it took a lot of work to build for sure. And yeah, it looks like it takes a lot of years. Like, this was considered to be the hardest or impossible tunnel to restore, but they definitely got it done in 2001, which was pretty cool. May of 2001 to be exact. Alright, now we're going to talk about the Caledonian Canal. So, Thomas Telford and his consultant engineer William Jessup constructed the Caledonian Canal. And as we can see, it is a very beautiful canal. So there were a lot of problems with this project, like harsh weather conditions, bad ground conditions, and inexperienced labor force. So they had a lot of things going up against to construct this canal right here. The canal wasn't successful commercially, so a lot of ships and boats weren't traveling on here, so they weren't making back most of the money that they spent to construct it. But it served as an important military route during World War One, so that was pretty good. Today, it is used as a tourist attraction and for leisure purposes in the Scottish Islands. The project did advance the knowledge of civil engineering in Britain and beyond, so it did have a lot of pros, I guess. It was used in World War One. It helped them, the engineers of Britain and around the world, to get more knowledge about canal building and all of that. So that was good. And now you can enjoy a beautiful evening or a beautiful day, a beautiful walk on the canals overlooking the Scottish Islands. So that's good. Alright, so the future of canals after the war. Now, after the war, canal became less and less important for transportation. The demand for coal slowed down, so nobody wanted to use canals anymore. Like, they were slow. A lot of canals slowly faded away, sadly, but larger waterways, some of them did survive. A lot of times they had to like cut back their cost, so people was losing a lot of money. People who invested in the canals were losing a lot of money. So yeah, and people wanted more speedily deliveries, so they wanted goods to get to them at a faster pace. The canals weren't cutting it anymore. New inventions were coming out. The train tracks started to develop, so that was faster than the canals, of course. So people were gonna, stick to that. So that was that. So canals were recreational activities, even though it was declining with the usage of transporting goods and services and all of that. It was starting to become something for recreational activities, but it didn't just get there overnight. So a man named Tom Rauld, which we have a picture of right here, he wrote the book The Narrow Boat. And this book basically described his journey around the failing canal system and about its charm. So for many years, it was a struggle for the people to get canals to be for leisure purposes, but this book helped to pave the way, which was really good because, what better way to win over the government about making something for leisure purposes than telling them about how beautiful it is and how many money they would make from tourism, because it's beautiful. So it was a good way to win over the government, definitely. So he wrote the book and it helped to pave the way. So the IWA, which stands for the Inland Waterways Association, was created to protect and restore Britain's canal. So this IWA, it helped to restore many canals to be for recreational activities, leisure purposes again. So it helped to restore and to protect the history behind Britain's canals. With the history being protected, a lot of young people or kids who are being born, babies are being born every day. So the population that was to come could enjoy the history of their country, and they could enjoy learning about, not only learning about it, but experiencing it, you know? So in 1968, the Barbara Castle Transport Act of 1968 officially recognized the canals for leisure activities. Public money was given to support this cause, so a lot of people who wanted this cause to come through, they got help, like they got funding, public funding, and all of that. So businesses like pubs, restaurants, museums, and all of that built up along the canals, and that of course is a tourist attraction or people attraction in general. Like if you have businesses along a beautiful waterway, like a lot of people is going to flock it. So yeah, that helped created canals for recreational activities. So now we're gonna summarize everything. I know there's a lot of information that I probably left out. Um, it's a lot to learn about canals, a whole bunch of information out there to learn. But the English Canal System played a vital role in the Industrial Revolution. Again, goods were able to be transported at a faster speed to longer distances. Many people contributed in the building and maintaining of canals. Some included the famous engineer James Brindley, who built the Bridgewater Canal, which set the stage for many more to come. I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation and learned something from it. I hope you guys like seeing my pictures and all of that. So yeah. As far as my citations go, these are all the citations that I used. So all of these citations helped me to understand, to gain a better understanding of the British Canal System. It is a huge and complicated topic. Like there is a lot that goes into this topic, but I tried to understand it the most I could. I enjoy learning about the different canals, definitely, and seeing the pictures, it makes me more excited about visiting England one day. So as you can see, the citations definitely tell you guys what I learned. I learned about the Cardyke, the Fosdyke, the Bourton Aqueduct, and other citations are right here as well. Before I go, I wanted to mention that the British Canal System includes 6,400 kilometers or 4,000 miles worth of canals, 1,569 locks, 53 tunnels, 3,112 bridges, 378 aqueducts, and 74 reservoirs. And the last fun fact, the Grand Union is the longest canal in Britain. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation. I hope you guys learned something and took something from it. And I will see you guys in the next one, I guess. Bye.